Hello everyone, it's Farket here, and here is an update in what I've been doing in game development. And I've done quite a lot, as it's been like 6 months since the last one. I've switched from Unity to Unreal for the reason of I had an industry professional reach out. His name's Brandy, who convinced me to switch, and he was going to be my mentor. And I think if you know anything about business, it is extremely good to have a mentor, especially if you don't know what you're doing. So I've partnered up with him. He helps with the more technical stuff, which if you're going to work in Unreal, you're going to need that help. It's just me and him. Dexium left due to work commitments. Now, here's an example of the type of work he's being able to produce on his own. He's been a solo developer on this game he's working on called Shadowfalls. I was able to get 120 FPS at 4K with these graphics, which for Unreal 5 is pretty good. All these buildings I'm showing you can be built in the game. These aren't prefabs. Now, as for me, I've accomplished a lot. I'm not going to showcase it all right now. I've done a bit of everything and not much is in a presentable state, aside from the building, which is what I'm going to do now. So the building system's going to have its own UI. It's not going to be like this, where you have to craft each piece like in Arc or anything like that. And I'll just show you some of the building. So I'm using like a grid-based system, purely because this is my first game and I don't know that much about coding, so it's probably best I stick to something a bit more simple. But what is going to be different about this is that it's going to work on a sophisticated grid system and a very in-depth kit system, which I don't know if it's been done before, but I'm going to present it to you and you make that decision for yourself. So I often haven't liked that you can see underneath buildings, and games often make it very difficult to build underneath it, with the exception of voxel. This isn't a voxel game. I decided quite early on that I wasn't going to be doing voxels. So yeah, that's sort of what you can do. I think these are called stem walls in real life building, and I think I've named the grid as such for that. It's hard to explain the type of building system I've got here. So I'm just going to places and go with it as I'm going. So I'm going to go with this part next, and that is to fill out the gaps, which games don't often allow you to do. To take it to other extremes, you get things like this. All this stuff is very easy to change. Like, to give you an example, to add one of these pieces would take me 5 minutes. So I could add 12 building pieces in an hour. That's how efficient it is. Now I'm going to place a couple of windows. Now you're thinking, oh, there's that gap there. Because everything works on a grid system, things won't overlap, but you'll get things that stick out. And you're thinking, well, you know, that doesn't look good. Well, here's a possible solution, is I've come up with foundational floor attachments that you put in to fill the gap. And then you start thinking, oh, this is sticking out. Well, you just place another pillar on top, like this, like that. As you can see, this is not easy to explain because I don't think I've seen it done before, but I could be wrong. Now, I did want like I don't know what you'd call it, like an outdoor veranda system. So I come up with this. A lot of the research I've done on old architecture has led me here. So I place these pillars on top of here. I just want to elaborate that building in this game, the more pieces you place, the more benefits you'll get. I can't go into any depth or as of now, because the systems are still being ironed out. Now here's a problem I'm already identifying earlier on in the development. When grids overlap, it causes issues, but that's just attaching to the pillar, which I might remove because I feel like pillars should be more cosmetic. That causes too many issues if they can be used to place things like this. Also, the excessive arrow system, that's my decision because I got sick of not being able to see where the arrow was pointing. So 8 at different angles would help. Just filling out some walls here. I haven't got an easy way to remove pieces, so I'm being careful with what I'm placing. So the point of this is I noticed in a lot of older architecture, they kind of had outdoor areas, and that's what I wanted to achieve here, is to place it like that. And then you'd have like, I don't know, a blacksmith thing or something like that out here. So to fill these gaps. And the reason it collides there is because I had to add collision to it to stop it being placed again. Another reason for the grid system I'm trying to go for is to help players prevent accidentally placing things in places that shouldn't be placed. But it's not going to inhibit freedom of placement. In stylized graphics, that looks okay, but in realistic graphics, it really does not. That's why it works in games like Valheim and Dragon Wilds, for example. I want to add doors that automatically open, but Brandy was not for that. He thinks it should be like this, but I'm going to add it as an option. Window shutters, pretty stock standard stuff. Like I said, I could add 12 different variants in 1 hour, providing I have the meshes. Pretty much all this I created myself, not the textures, but yeah, I made a lot of this myself because I didn't like the way a lot of the stuff that you can buy on the marketplace looked. Now you've seen the edges of here, and this looks quite bland, and this is a big issue I've had with games, and it's going to be the same case of that, of filling it out. I should maybe round the edges of these, might make it look a bit better. So how to fill this out and make it look better is to use these roof ends. So that's the left-hand side, and this is the right. Now, Randy made an opinion of why don't you just automatically place it? Well, because here's the thing. I don't know if you, as the player, would like to place this or to use a rafter end like this. I don't know. And why should I decide for you? I could have it that you can just hold down and click and go through the variants. I don't know. I'm still figuring this crap out, man. This game dev stuff is like playing God. I'm making decisions on behalf of people without their input a lot. And the same goes for here, filling out the end. Now, it would make sense to have that automatic, but the thing is, I don't know that. Because what happens if you want to go at a different angle? That's a porch roof end. This is on a 20-something degree angle, and the other one's at 45, so I can use the 45 on the end of those if I want, like here. And it slopes down just a little bit more. People might have a preference for that. Also, the textures all meshing together or not merging together like this here. This will all be solved with texture streaming, as far as I know. That comes at a cost, but there's no other way around it. Better just have it looking merged and let the system do it automatically. But I think it might be one of those things that make Unreal run like crap. I'll have to wait and see. And then you got the corners, which you can just add in here. Like I said, I'm going to have a proper UI for this. It's just at this point in time, using an UI during development is really annoying because I have to add the piece and then I have to add it to the UI. I don't want to touch the UI. So I just bloody throw it in here and give it a nice little box with a picture and, you know, instead of like a bag like a lot of other games do, but I don't know why they do that. Maybe it's just consistency. But I could see what's here and it's got a name over it every time I look at it, you know. But this isn't going to be in the full release game. It's just placeholder for me, for testing purposes. Now I'm cutting this bit out because I built roofs with another system, but I'm going to showcase it in more depth in another video because I didn't cover it in enough detail here. It has to do with the line traces and stuff, and I want to go in depth in explaining what that means and why building in games can often be frustrating. A line trace is an engine limitation. I've got another one that looks like this, but it kind of doesn't really make sense because it would be sitting on logs. I'll think of other ways of doing it. So here's a problem already. That's aligning up there. I don't have a piece to connect to go from there to there. So I would need to think of something. At this point in time, I don't have anything. Oh, so they're colliding with the roof pieces that I just put there. Tell you what, adding collision is not fun because it can prevent a lot of the placement of things. So what I could do, technically, it would make partial sense. I've got this idea that I've had of roofs sticking out to attach them like this. And then I would put, oh man, I wish I had a proper UI for times like this. I'm not getting lost in all these pieces. I know where everything is. I'm just trying to pick the right piece because I've got multiple solutions for this. That's interesting. I'm gonna check if this is gonna work. So that gap, you know, I mentioned it's gonna come up there. Can I put this half piece on the end here? Oh yeah, and it blocks it off. Well, there you go, there's one solution. And yeah, that didn't really matter. So I would have to make it come out a little bit. I don't know. I just don't want you thinking that I've forgotten things. So yes, I do have thatch roof outer corners. If I place that, it still doesn't look very good because it sticks out there. So I extend it out and then I could use these pieces here to sort of bring it out. And there's things that I just don't know if I'm going to fix. Like, I probably should. But you can put a porch end rather than a normal end, but it will stick out and it will look pretty crap. So I don't know if I need to add a separate grid for that sort of stuff to prevent people accidentally placing it. So put the ends on here. And here. That sticks out a little bit. And I can't put these things out because these are a full width. For reference, every grid is sort of like 300 by 300. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a factor. What's an example? I could show you that it's not a concern. Oh yeah, I've got quarter, but like, yeah, you can still place on things. It's just trying to find that balance of building. So what I'm trying to do with the building, and I don't want to seem egotistical in saying this, is I want a building system that is fast and looks good. And I don't know if you're going to have a very good balance. I think games like Valheim and Minecraft, you can have them look really good, but they take you a long time. And I'm far too practical for that. I found Valheim's building to be very tedious because it took too long to make something that looked good. and the rewards for doing it were zilch. But this is the benefits of voxels. That's the reason why voxel games look quite, what's the word? Not so good a lot of the time. So this house is pretty much complete. As for rafters and that, I've gone against that idea. I'm going to add the option into putting them in, but in terms of trying to make them work, it's a nightmare, man. It's just antithesis of fun. Like, it's just boring. But yeah, there is a house. It's not the best looking one, but it was just more of a design thing. I'm cutting this video short because I want to cover things in more depth later on. I felt like I was trying to invest too much into this one video because it's been so long. I'm just going to release videos more frequently that cover details better. Also, everything you are seeing, absolutely everything, is replicated. And what that means is that it works in multiplayer. If you build a game from the start with things that aren't replicated, you will have to replicate them later on, otherwise multiplayer won't work. And if you know any devs, ask them what it's like to replicate or get things working from single player to multiplayer. It is a nightmare. So everything that's being built is being replicated from the start, because I don't want to deal with that crap later on. Well, I don't think Brandy wants to deal with that crap, because I probably won't be touching it, but we'll have to wait and see. I plan to be more active in my Discord. I'm going to add a new invite link, and I'm going to be in the voice chat there, and just a public one. Hopefully it goes well. We'll have to wait and see. But I want to get feedback that way, one-on-one. So yeah, anyway, if you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Cheers.